The opinions and suggestions expressed on the following program are solely those of the participants and are not necessarily endorsed by KRMG, Cox Media Group Incorporated, or the program sponsors. This following program is sponsored by Causeway, LLC. Information in this broadcast is not intended as an investment, tax, or financial advice. Matthew Moore is not a licensed investment advisor and speaks solely from his experience and opinions. All information in this broadcast is for entertainment or educational purposes only. Matthew Moore, Causeway, LLC, and Cox Media Group Tulsa are not responsible for the success or failure of any person's investment decisions or purchases. Matthew Moore, Causeway, LLC, and Cox Media Group Tulsa makes no and expressly disclaims all representations, warranties, and guarantees with respect to this broadcast and its sponsors. Investing in any market is inherently risky and can be financially dangerous. Invest at your own risk. Gather knowledge in the world of cryptocurrency right now on 102.3 KRMG, Tulsa's news and talk. Welcome to Cryptocurrency with Matthew J. Moore. Matthew is locally based right here in Tulsa. Questions, comments, concerns? Call 918-460-5764 or send us an open mic using the KRMG app. Now, here's Cryptocurrency with Matthew J. Moore.
Good Sunday evening to you. My name is Russell Mills. Thank you so much for joining us for Cryptocurrency with Matthew J. Moore. We're live and local in the big city of Tulsa, Oklahoma. You know, I'm going to turn 62 here at the end of the month. I'm getting up there in age, but believe it or not, I was 8 years old when the very first ATM machine ever appeared in the United States. It was at Chemical Bank in Rockville Center, New York City. Well, ATMs have come a long way, baby, and so has money and all things like that, and that's why we have this show all put together by a guy named Matthew J. Moore, who's sitting immediately to my left, and we're going to talk about ATMs today, but not that one in Rockville Center, right, Matt?
Yeah, that's right. You know what my brother used to call ATMs? I'm going to go down to the Atom.
The Atom.
At the Atom. And I was like, what are you talking about? There's a guy named Adam down there giving you cash? No, I've actually learned a lot since then. But I do want to say, you don't look 62, so you look great.
That is very kind of you,
yeah.
sir. Thank you.
Yeah. Well, here's the question I want to propose to you who are listening to this show today. You know, how hard is it really? You know, how hard is it to buy Bitcoin in large amounts? I mean, some people run into some issues. Some people have some problems setting up accounts. But, I want you to think about that. I mean, have you ever set up an exchange account yourself? Maybe you are listening to the show. Maybe you are in the space and you have gone through that process. Or maybe you're thinking about doing that. This whole show, this whole concept is new to you. Well, there's a lot that can sometimes go into it as far as your information that you have to submit, some hurdles. I want to just kind of share a little bit about my experience. I mean, it's kind of been mixed. I've helped hundreds of people in this space and help them set up accounts. I kind of hold people's hands, I consult them, and sometimes it's easy, sometimes it's a little difficult, depending on whether the banks want to work or cooperate with you, whether your debit card wants to work. So I always advocate, you need to have multiple ways of dealing with this, of getting involved, setting up multiple exchange platforms, because honestly, the limits that they can often, place on your accounts when first starting out can be a pain in the butt as well. There's often these very small limits, and especially, if there's high volume. When people are wanting to buy and sell on these accounts or exchanges, sometimes their system is down for maintenance, at the perfect time. So having multiple ways to enter and exit the space, I think is very, very important. So using on-ramps like Coinbase or other platforms, like I said, it's tedious and can be annoying. And so, I just want you to think like it's not always instant, to get into the space. Yeah, sure, you could buy and sell something and you could, get some Bitcoin and get into the space. But, like I said, it's you never know what kind of hurdles. I was helping a lady not too long ago and, it just seemed like anything and everything that could have gone wrong happened. And I just wanted to, say, hey, let's just go down to a Bitcoin ATM. Let's use some cash. Let's open up a wallet. So yeah, having multiple ways is definitely helpful. And to help me navigate a conversation or chat about these mysterious Bitcoin ATMs, or atoms, as my brother would say, is in studio with me. His name is Nyc Burns from the Nyc and Griff Show. Nyc, welcome back for another round, my friend. Thanks for filling in for Eric Cooper, because I know Eric Cooper is so sad to be missing out this entire month.
I know it. Yeah, I haven't seen him in a while. I'm excited to be back here. I'm grateful to be one of the guys you call when you need somebody to fill in. So I'm excited about it. I have a feeling that this episode's going to be pretty helpful for the people that are listening, because not only are we talking about Bitcoin ATMs, you've managed to bring on somebody to talk about Bitcoin ATMs, Mr. Sung Choi from Coinme.com. And if I'm not mistaken, they just might be the largest Bitcoin ATM provider in the United States of America. So, to get us started today, I am going to welcome the Vice President of Strategy and Business Development with Coinme.com. Sung Choi, are you there with us?
I'm here.
Well,
Thanks for having
welcome on to one of America's only radio shows dedicated to Bitcoin. I guess I'd like to start with, have you introduce yourself in your own words and tell us a little bit about what you do at Coinme and a little bit about what Coinme is all about.
Yeah, sure thing. I'm Sung. I help Coinme conduct business strategy as well as do business development. So, finding partners, finding vendors, things of that nature. So pretty much anything that we need, I'm in charge of going out and getting for the company.
Well, one thing that I was noticing on your website, it says that you guys have over 21,000 Bitcoin ATMs globally. Does that technically make you guys the largest ATM provider in the world?
Per our count, yes. I can't guarantee that with certainty, but as far as we know, we are the largest.
Well, I think that is pretty cool and perfect person to have in on the radio to chat about this. So, but I want to start out with this. Some people, they may have seen these ATMs in a mall or maybe in some random gas station. But what's the story? Like, what's the why behind Bitcoin ATMs in general? Is it mainly for those people who are maybe not quite native to the internet, or maybe they don't have a bank account, or maybe there's another reason?
That's a good question, and that is a segment for sure. But to kind of go back in time a bit, Coinme was founded in 2014, back when Bitcoin was a much more unknown and scarce commodity. And back then, if you told someone to go buy crypto, Coinbase wasn't what it is today. The other exchanges didn't exist, and there was really a lack of trust in the space. So it was really difficult for someone to go out and buy Bitcoin in the first place and be able to trust that you could get the asset in the first place. I mean, people would actually mail each other envelopes full of cash and hope that they would then send Bitcoin to their public address. So there was a lot of trust that was missing in the space. And really, ATMs were seen as a good way to simulate that trusted experience, especially if you're able to place the ATMs in trusted environments. Then it'd be an easy way to access crypto in an instant and a very instant, easy, and simple way.
Interesting. I got to ask, what are some of the advantages of using an ATM to buy Bitcoin versus just, downloading an app, what I think most people probably have done here recently. I know that you guys also have an app. Is that just another way to buy Bitcoin in tandem with the ATM system you guys use?
Yeah, so the app does allow you to buy using a debit card, so digitally as well. But it's also the wallet. One major difference that we have from other maybe more traditional Bitcoin ATM companies is we offer a wallet ourselves. So when you buy crypto at a physical location that we offer, the funds and the digital assets end up in a Coinme wallet, so that then you could either custody it there or send it to your own wallet.
Oh, okay. So is the Coinme wallet, does it give access to the private keys, or is that a different setup?
We custody the funds on behalf of the user, so it's more like a bank-like experience in that you're not expected to be in charge of money that you put in your bank account, right? If anything goes wrong, the bank helps you recover your online banking credentials and things like that. So we do offer some of these services for individuals that might not be as tech savvy and might not want to do the work of custodying their own crypto funds.
So I guess the real question is for me myself, if I was going to go down to one of the Coinme ATMs and buy me some Bitcoin, do I have to download the Coinme app to participate, or can I literally insert cash, set up an account with you guys, and just send it to a wallet that I control?
So if you go to a Coinstar location, just to explain a little bit more, we used to run our own Bitcoin ATMs. We had about 75 of them at one point. But we decided to adopt a different model so that we could help provide access to people faster than we could deploy kiosks. We actually partnered with Coinstar, And there's over 20,000 Coinstar locations around the world. We've enabled about 10,000 of them in the United States, where you can go to your local grocery store and go buy crypto at your Bitcoin machine, or excuse me, your Coinstar machine that you've probably used in the past or you've walked by 100 times, and do it in a very familiar and safe location like your local grocery store. So you can go walk up to one of those locations, and then what we do right now is you can buy a voucher, which then you could either download the Coinme app or go to coinme.com and redeem that voucher to access the crypto that you had purchased in person. There is a second way of purchasing as well, which is to go to a MoneyGram location. So you can purchase in a MoneyGram location, or withdraw funds and pick that up at a MoneyGram location. But with either of those funds flows, you have to start with your mobile app or Coinme mobile app to initiate the transfer or the purchase, and then go to the physical location.
All right, we need to take a quick time out, guys. A reminder, if you've ever missed an episode of this show, and we're at, episode 65? Yeah, so you got a lot of catching up to do. And we've got a way for you to do that. You can find those past episodes on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, and of course, krmg.com and the KRMG app. Quick time out, more cryptocurrency with Matthew J. Moore coming up on 102.3 KRMG. Welcome back to Cryptocurrency with Matthew J. Moore. We are live and local in the big city of Tulsa on 102.3 KRMG, Tulsa's News and Talk. I'm Russell Mills. Appreciate you joining us this evening. The topic today, Bitcoin ATMs. Is that a good idea? Well, we're talking to a guy who has a little bit of knowledge about that. His name is Sung Choi, and he's with Coinme.com. They are, as far as we know, the biggest Bitcoin ATM company in the world. So good source. And Matt, you just always get the best guests. Congratulations, brother.
If we're going to have a show, we might as well do it right.
Might as well do it right, or don't do it at all. That's what my daddy always said.
That's right. That's right. Well, and we also do co-hosting the right way, because in studio today, filling in for my co-host, Eric Cooper, is none other than the guy who spells his name like New York City, a.k.a. NYC, also pronounced Nick. That's right, it's Nyc Burns from the Nick and Griff Show. Nick, you ready to continue our discussion about Bitcoin ATMs and why they might matter?
I absolutely am excited to talk about this. I think the on-off ramps conversation is very interesting. And yes, my name is spelled NYC like New York City. But before we jump back in and continue this conversation about ATMs with Sung Choi from Coinme.com again, don't forget, if you miss an episode of this radio show, you can always find it on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, and krmg.com. If you miss an episode, we've got you covered.
That's right. And it's important that I give a well-needed shout-out to the people who help us stay on the radio. It's because of our epic sponsor, GetHedge, that they keep us going so we can help spread Bitcoin mass adoption, because that is part of our goal. And we're doing it to a whole new audience. So here's my question for you that I'm going to propose. Do you have a strategy to obtain cryptocurrency on a regular basis? Do you plan to maybe automate that buying, or AKA dollar cost averaging? What about getting all or maybe a part of your paycheck in Bitcoin? Well, Hedge is revolutionizing how you get paid. Hedge makes it easy to automatically convert your pay into cryptocurrency, whether it's an employer or employee. You can get started in 4 easy steps. You can start getting paid in either Bitcoin, Ethereum, Litecoin. And, here's the thing. This is kind of a long-term play. So, starting a strategy today is not a bad idea. So Hedge is here to make it easy to, once again, stack those sats month after month. So what are you waiting for? Start living on the hedge. Check them out at gethedge.io. Again, that is gethedge.io. And as usual, if you're listening to this show, we are giving away, again, another $200 worth of Bitcoin, which could one day be worth thousands of dollars in purchasing power. So if you're interested, you can go to my website, mattjmoore.com. Scroll down to that resource section, and you'll see a button that says Get Hedge. Click that, and you can sign up for Hedge and start having a portion of your paycheck allocated into Bitcoin. And if you got questions, you can always shoot me a message on my website. I'm always happy to help and explain just a little bit more when using Hedge. So Again, that's mattjmoore.com. All right, well, what are we waiting for? Let's go ahead and dive back into it. Nick, why don't you send us off into this conversation again?
Absolutely. So on the line with us here again, for you guys that are just joining with us, we've got Sung Choi. He is the Vice President of Strategy and Business Development at Coinme.com. Sung, here is the question many people are probably thinking. How do I find the nearest Coinme ATM if I want to use one? Where do you go?
You just have to go to coinme.com/locations, and you'll be able to use a map interface to find the nearest location. But really, it's most likely available at your local grocery store, whether it's a Kroger or Safeway, Albertsons, or one of their subsidiaries. There's probably one very close to where you are.
I did
Sorry.
Go ahead.
I think the last time we mapped it out, about 90% of Americans were within 5 miles of a Coinme location.
Yep, I think there was a ton here. I checked it out earlier, and there is a ton all around here in Tulsa.
Well, okay, so this is something I'm still getting my head around, so I apologize, Sung, but I do want to clarify this because I've used Bitcoin ATMs before, but I have not used the Coinstar method or the MoneyGram method, which you guys have partnerships here. So I'm totally new, totally fresh out of the box. I want to buy Bitcoin. I want to go down to my local Coinstar ATM that's partnered with you guys. I have a wallet on my phone, maybe something like Exodus or Atomic, and I've got some cash. Can I go to these machines, insert cash, and then it's going to give me a voucher, which then allows me to set up an account with you guys later on your app, or am I walking this through correctly? Correct me where I'm wrong here.
No, that's exactly right. You get to open up an account and you redeem the voucher. And at that point, you can then send it to your Exodus wallet or some other wallet.
Okay. And how long, roughly does that account setup, process take place? Do you do that at the ATM, or are you kind of encouraging people to do that before they get to the ATM?
They can do it before or after. If they're going to a Coinstar location, you can buy the voucher first and then redeem it after creating the account. So really either is fine. And it really should only take a couple of minutes at most. We have a couple different ways you can get verified. One is we have an easy flow where you can just present your name, phone number, SSN, and then you can get verified that way. Or there's a document verification method as well, where you submit your ID, submit a selfie. Really depends on what the volume that you're seeking to do is.
Okay. And what's the, as far as, are there some limitations on how much you can buy at once, depending on what kind of KYC process they've done, or can you explain that?
Yeah, the limited KYC with just the name, phone number, and email address, and SSN, that is up to $1,000 a day. And then if you do the documentary KYC, currently it's up to $2,900 a day that you can do it at a physical location.
Okay. And what's, just out of curiosity, what's the fee structure like? When somebody goes there to buy Bitcoin, is is there a percentage that is, that they have to pay?
Yes. So at a Coinstar location, because of the ease of use, there's a higher fee structure there, although it's pretty competitive with most Bitcoin ATMs. There's a spread and a fee component. I think it comes out to be somewhere near 11%. But for example, if you buy USDC at select locations, it's 4%. So it becomes much lower in cost. And then at a MoneyGram location, it's closer to 4%.
Okay.
For all transactions.
And so if I was just sitting on my couch and I downloaded the Coinme app and I connected my debit card, is the fee going to be the same, or is it a little less?
The fee for a debit card transaction is much less.
Okay.
I believe it's competitive with anything else that you'd be using, whether it's a Cash App or Coinbase or really anything else.
All right. Well, very nice. Very nice. Well, we're getting close to going to another break here, but stick around. If you guys are listening to this program, we got a handful of other segments and a lot more questions to ask Sung Choi about Coinme and the benefits of going down to your Coinstar machine and buying some Bitcoin. So, yes, times are changing. And if you got questions, guess what? You can always ask me those questions later on by going to my website, mattjmoore.com. I would be happy to help you because that's why we do this show.
And you'll find all kinds of information there at mattjmoore.com. And by the way, you spell that with 2 O's. Matt J. Moore, all one word, CoinMe.com. Check it out. In fact, you'll see the link to Get Hedged there, and we're going to talk more about how you can qualify for $200 of free Bitcoin by clicking that little button. Stick around for a quick time out. You're listening to 102.3 KRMG, Tulsa's News and Talk. Welcome back to Cryptocurrency with Matthew J. Moore. I'm Russell Mills. Thanks for joining us. We are live and local in Tulsa, Oklahoma tonight on one of the world's only radio shows dedicated 100% to cryptocurrencies and Bitcoin. If you're just joining us, the topic today is Bitcoin ATMs. Good idea? Nice to have the option. Well, we're getting engaged in that discussion, and it's being led by this gentleman, the namesake of the show, Matthew J. Moore. Hey, Matt.
Howdy, howdy, howdy. We are back in the saddle, ready to start another round, another segment of this awesome show. So if you're interested in Bitcoin, maybe you want to learn more, maybe you're trying to get into the space, well, this is the right spot for you. And if you missed the last few segments, just like Russell was saying, we've been chatting about Bitcoin ATMs with Sung Choi. He's the Vice President of Strategy and Business Development for a company called Coinme.com. And to help me unpack the rest of this epic episode is my friend and fill-in co-host, Nyc Burns. Nick, you want to do the honors and once again bring us back into gear?
I would love to have the honors there. Let's jump off right with some education here. I think the education piece is very important. Sung, I know you guys are big on education as well. Can you speak to that a little bit? And, how are you guys helping to educate people about Bitcoin?
Sure thing. So since 2014, we've had the pleasure of helping to educate the public and how crypto works and the benefits of crypto in general. And so we've partnered with VCs, we've partnered with protocols, and pushed out a campaign called Crypto Literacy. And if you go to cryptoliteracy.org, you can actually go take a small test to see how crypto literate you are, and then dive into some of the details as to the details around how crypto can provide benefits to an individual, and really start diving into all the nuances.
Beautiful. I think that sounds like a fun test to take. I'm going to have to go check that out after we hop out of here.
I'm going to do it too.
Do you guys have any cool stories or testimonies of people using your services, whether that's education or your online platform or your ATMs through the years?
Definitely. So, early on, we used to get a lot of entrepreneurs that were buying materials on places like Alibaba, and most of the sellers would ask them to pay with crypto because if you paid with PayPal, the fees would be very high. So, they would call us and ask us, how do I use this service? And so we'd walk them through how to use one of our locations, and a lot of our customers would tell us how easy it was to actually use the services and be able to send crypto to the sellers of these products.
The beauties of technology, huh?
That's right. That's right. Well, I was looking on your website. It also mentioned something about a debit card feature. I know we talked about using your app and connecting your debit card to buy Bitcoin, but do you guys actually have an actual debit card, or am I misreading that?
Yeah, I think that's a change we need to make to the website. We don't yet have or issue debit cards.
Okay.
It is a product that's on the roadmap, but it's
okay.
not something that we have released yet.
All right. Well, that makes sense. Well, when somebody is using or wanting to use the Coinme process or the Coinstar that they might go down to, are they limited to using cash only at these ATMs, or can they use the debit card too? And with the app, are purchases only with debit card? Because I'm assuming some apps you can actually link your bank account, do a wire transfer, and all that stuff. Kind of explain the limitations on both the app and the ATMs.
At physical locations, currently it is cash only. In the near future, we're going to have a product where you can also use a debit card at a physical location, but for now, it is cash only. And online, we did opt to currently just do the debit as a payment method and to push directly to debit as well, where you get instantly the funds into your bank account using the debit rails. And the reason we chose debit was because the population that we happen to serve, which are generally the either unbanked or underbanked, or individuals that choose to not use banking, they're generally using either cash or the prepaid debit rails. So those are the ones that we chose to implement first. But we will in the near future also have bank transfers as well.
You know, a lot of times the onboarding process, those on-off ramps, right, that we're talking about for exchanges can take forever. You can have, you know, super low starting limits, and you can't move funds to your own wallets. Now, I know that we've kind of talked about this already a little bit at this point, but can you maybe speak to a little bit about how you guys at Coinme are combating maybe that clunky user experience?
Definitely. Instant is a huge value prop that we have as a company. So, you know, whether you're someone in a major city that is very used to using apps, or whether you're someone in the Midwest that, you know, maybe don't like to use the apps and like personal banking, with physical locations, we have a product where you can instantly get access to crypto. So you can go through our onboarding process within a matter of minutes. And if you go through the documentary process where you present your ID and your selfie, you can purchase up to $2,900, and you can also withdraw up to $2,900, and you can do this all within a matter of minutes.
Beautiful.
I like it. I like it. Well, hey, you know, here's kind of a question out of left field, but I mean, trends. Are you guys observing trends with how people are using, let's say, the Coinstar machines or the MoneyGram? You know, in your partnership, you're partnered with them. So maybe the trends led to those partnerships, or maybe you're seeing new trends. Can you kind of speak to maybe some trends that may have been unexpected or expected?
Something that's unexpected is the number of Gen Z customers that we have. It seems like there's a big movement with the younger folks to use cash and stay away from banking. That's been a surprise to us, but I guess it's a general trend across the board. There's a lot of younger folks that just stick with cash, avoid getting bank accounts altogether, and use alternative fintech companies like a Coinme or a Venmo or something like that. So that the rise in the number of younger users, that's definitely been a huge surprise.
Okay. And I know we talked a little bit about it, you know, and there's obviously competition out there when it comes to ATMs, but your prime advantage is just you guys are just all over the place with this partnership. Is that correct, or are there other competitive advantages that you guys have?
Yeah, accessibility is a huge one. As I mentioned earlier, 90% of Americans live within 5 miles of a Coinstar or a Coinme location, whether it's a Coinstar location or a MoneyGram location. And because our model is to crypto enable existing infrastructure rather than deploy our own, it's really easy for us to find a new partner and activate tens of thousands of locations all in one fell swoop. And our backend API actually helps to work with other financial institutions. So, for example, we're working with banks and core banking service providers to then provide these same exact services to, you know, your local bank or credit union. So in the near future, your credit union will likely offer crypto, and one of the ways they could do that is actually using our services.
Okay. Well, and we've got roughly about 5 more minutes before we got to go to break here, but I do have a handful more questions. I guess the first question I want to ask you is, you know, by doing what you guys do and being good at it, what have been maybe some of the greatest hurdles or challenges, you know, by maybe implementing some of the things that you do and you know, the problem solving that goes into that? What has been your guys' greatest challenge, and how have you overcome it?
Back in 2017, banks weren't really a huge fan of crypto and crypto companies. So I joined the company in about mid-2017, and one of the first things that we did, or I participated in, was we called over 200 banks before we could find a bank account, because the credit union that we'd worked with in the Seattle area, which we're based out of, they told us that they no longer wanted to work with the crypto company. So the banking was a huge challenge. It's something that's gotten much better. As a company, we focused on regulation and licensing. So, for example, we're regulated in the state of Oklahoma by the Oklahoma Banking Department. We have a money transmitter license through the Oklahoma Banking Department. So because we've gone through and done this exercise of getting regulated and licensed in as many jurisdictions as possible, the banks have really trusted us a lot more. And you know, we've been able to do away with that problem. The crypto industry maturing has certainly helped with that as well, but that was a massive problem that we used to have that's no longer a problem.
So you mentioned something earlier that I think is really interesting. You said that you're wanting to crypto enable existing infrastructure. I guess kind of thinking more generally for the entire crypto space. What do you think is the significance of utilizing existing infrastructure versus trying to rework the whole thing?
I think individuals want to consolidate the number of outlets that they use for their finances. It's better to be able to do more with one location, just from the perspective of, I just get so randomized with so many different things that I don't want to worry about stocks with one app and crypto with another and banking with a whole nother app, or even a physical location for that matter. And so to be able to do business through one channel, or all your finances through one channel, I think it just makes it easy for most people. And really what we're trying to do is let individuals work through the financial institution that they want to work with, but be able to do everything that they want. So I think it makes adoption a lot easier to say, my local bank offers crypto, so I'm going to buy crypto with them, rather than I'm going to go find an app or an exchange and go do this separately somewhere else.
Sure.
All good points. We've got roughly 2 minutes before we got to go to break, but I do want to ask you another question, Sung, is, we've talked about trends, we've talked about, just the general space at large, but what other things that you see coming in the future, whether it be Coinme or whether it be the industry at large? Are there some changes or adaptations that you expect to happen and that you guys are preparing for right now?
I think more regulations are coming, which as a company we think is great. Our congressmen and our executive branch, they're all talking about it. Whichever administration has been, I think everyone's aware the transformative nature of crypto assets, and I think because of that, we're going to see a lot more clarity in terms of what can and can't be done. More safety around stable coins. I don't know if you guys followed the whole Terra Luna meltdown and things like that. By regulators being a bit more involved, could have been avoided. So I'm excited about kind of more regulations making the space a more safe and friendly environment for the general public.
Well, guys, if you're listening to this program, please stay put, because guess what? We got more content to cover. And just a reminder, if you want to have somebody hold your hand through this process, sometimes it can be challenging. You can go to my website, mattjmoore.com. You can set up a consultation, but we're here to educate and to help you understand this space.
Quick timeout, but we're not done talking with Sung Choi from Coinme.com. Got more questions for him and more to learn in our last segment of this week's episode of Cryptocurrency with Matthew J. Moore, coming up next on 102.3 KRMG. Welcome back to Cryptocurrency with Matthew J. Moore. I'm Russell Mills. Been a fascinating conversation this evening, talking about Bitcoin ATMs with an expert on the topic, Sung Choi from Coinme.com. Let's welcome back our host, Matthew J. Moore. Hey, Matt.
Hey, thank you, Russell. Yes, that's right. This whole episode, we've been focused on that topic, the benefits of Bitcoin ATMs with a company called Coinme. And the one who has helped me co-host this show today is the one Bitcoiner who has the name and personality to rival the Big Apple. It's none other than Nyc Burns from the Nyc and Griff Show. Nyc, welcome to our last segment, man.
It's funny, with 4 segments, I get 4 intros. You just make my cheeks redder and redder every single time.
I just like it. I just like to embarrass you.
Well, on the line with us here today is Sung Choi. He's the Vice President of Strategy and Business Development at Coinme.com. Sung, I've got a question here for you. It's been great to learn about a lot of the benefits of Bitcoin ATMs, but if somebody wanted to put a Coinme ATM in his or her place of business, how does that work? And can they make money by hosting an ATM? What are some of the specifics on this topic?
So I know there are other companies that do work with individuals to deploy ATMs. For us, we generally work with larger enterprises like Coinstar or MoneyGram that already have a wide network of locations. So if you have, let's say, a network of maybe like 50 plus locations, and it's something that we can definitely work with you on. But generally, we don't work with individuals to deploy locations.
Okay, well, here's a question for somebody like me who is out there in public talking about this stuff on the radio and all over. Do you guys have a referral program?
It's something that we're standing up right now. By early Q1, which I can't believe is a couple of months away now,
Right.
we'll have a person-to-person referral program where you'll be able to earn Bitcoin by referring your friends and family.
Oh, really cool. Okay, well, awesome. Well, I'll have to keep an eye out for that. Okay, well, here's somebody might be listening to this program right now. They might be in their car. That might be like, you know what? I'm finally going to pull the trigger. I'm going to go down to that Coinstar ATM. I'm going to buy me some Bitcoin. Do you have any words of advice or preparations that they probably should consider before they go down there? Because you want them to have a pleasant experience.
We do offer more assets than just Bitcoin. There's 8 different assets that are available at Coinstar locations. I would encourage everyone to do some research around, what best fits what they're looking for. Bitcoin, as we know, is the OG crypto, and it's been the most sought after asset. But there's things like Ethereum and Stellar and other networks as well that have their own perks and benefits and features. So I highly encourage everyone to dive in a little bit before choosing the asset that they're looking for.
Well, obviously, some people are going to take the time to really dive in and do their homework, and maybe they've been listening to the show and they got convinced of this entire space because, well, of the conversations we have. So, my question to you, Sung, before we close out the show is, what was your orange pill moment?
Is understanding the need for an alternative way of transacting for people in other foreign locations. Like, for example, you frequently hear about the difficulty people have with local currencies in South America and places like Argentina, where there's crazy inflation. And in the US, we're actually seeing pretty high inflation ourselves, although nothing like they see in places like Argentina. But understanding that people need a different place to place their assets, their savings, and so that we don't fear that it's going to disappear due to inflation. I think that's something that really hit me to help understand why this alternative asset was something that people needed.
I love it. Well, roughly what year was that?
2017.
2017. Okay. Well, yeah, it seems like myself included, a lot of our guests that we have on are some class of 2017. So it's always good to talk to another person who had those revelations at that time. But, if somebody wants to download Coinme, maybe they want to get started, or maybe they want to follow your work, where do you recommend people go?
To access Coinme.com is the best place to go to. We do have an Instagram channel and on LinkedIn as well. And if anybody wants to reach out to me, you can just look for Sung Choi Coinme on LinkedIn, and that's the best place to access me.
Okay, awesome. Well, as far as conferences go, I know the Litecoin conference was going on in Vegas, and I know you had a booth and a team there. Do you make it out to conferences very often?
I try to make it to as many as possible. There's Money 2020 that starts today that I wasn't actually able to make because of some family events. But yeah, I try to make as many of the crypto events as possible. Bitcoin 2023 will be the next crypto-specific one that I'll attend. But pretty much most conferences I'll be in attendance. So if anybody ever wants to meet up, please reach out as well.
I love it. I love it. Well, we are definitely going to be down at in Miami for Bitcoin 2023. It's probably my favorite time of the year because we get a whole bunch of Oklahomans and we make the migration down there. And we will have, if you're listening to this program, we'll have some discounts so that or a code that you can use to buy your tickets at a discount. And maybe you'll be one of those people that'll go down there with our coalition and have the time of your life, along with some education. But again, I'm going to remind you, you can go to my website, mattjmoore.com, for some more information and a way to reach me. I just want to thank Sung Choi for joining us today. Coinme, awesome company. Love what you guys are doing. Sung, thank you so much for joining us today.
No, thank you. It was my pleasure.
Awesome. Well, Nick, this concludes this show. I hope you had fun, man.
Oh, it's always a good time.
All right, Nick, going to be back with us next week?
I don't know. We'll find out.
How's that for a tease? So
yeah.
You'll need to tune in next Sunday at 5 p.m. right here on 102.3 KRMG, and you'll find out with the rest of us. Until then, have a great week. Thanks for listening. We'll see you next Sunday.